For those who live under rocks, we are joined by the one, the only Tom Kinney. Thank you, Tom, for coming to join us at 10,000
great to be here with Bob Bergen.
Thank you. How was your day, sir?
It was great. How was your day?
My day has been phenomenal.
Ask her at 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m. I'll be with Misty Lee and Paul Dini.
That's great. What do they have a seance at the castle they got to do?
No, Missy's going to come in and do a magic trick. Oh, are you kidding? We get the Dini? Oh,
come on.
Right? It doesn't get
She should do a seance. That'd be fun.
But isn't it amazing? I mean, what are the odds that, like, a female magician marries a guy whose last name is Dini?
I know, right?
I mean, that just doesn't happen. I mean, come on. Yeah. That was like that was fated.
Yeah, no. It was fated beyond. There's so much.
If his first name was who, that would be
yeah. We were all waiting for it.
But yeah, things went good. I was in Culver City. My band was playing in downtown Culver City. You know that I live right here. Yeah. But I was on the west side, and then it was just taking forever. And
I told you we didn't hear when you.
LA has traffic. Gee, that's a pithy new observation, Tom. That was how interesting of you. But
where were you playing?
We were playing. It was a gig for the city of Culver City. Okay. So it was like a car show. You know, George Barris.
Fun.
Please.
He started this car show like many years ago. He's deceased now.
Okay.
But George Barris, for those of you,
because it's down the street too, isn't it?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, it used to be. He's been gone. They cleared out of that place on Riverside, but he made so many of the great
He's like the
TV show cars. Which was
and the Munsters.
The 60s Batmobile was there.
Yeah.
And they didn't have the Munsters coach there. With a K, right?
Yeah,
the Munsters coach.
Yeah.
But I did make sure, cause in his memory, that the band, before I went up, opened with the Munsters theme.
If you haven't seen him perform.
I've seen him perform.
If you all have not seen him perform, please look up
Tom Kenny and the High Seas, HI-SEAS, 11-piece soul band, 12 pieces today.
It's amazing.
12 organ grinders, 1 monkey. And that's it.
And everybody else around dancing. No one can sit in their seats when
people were dancing. I was like, I don't know, it's going to be a daytime gig,
Oh.
and it's just kind of like random.
Tom, your music is.
People were the music is.
my gosh.
Luckily, with that music, you can't go wrong. So it's it's Sam Cooke and it's James Brown. It's all those old soul guys.
That's so good.
So. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Like, who doesn't like? Even if you've never heard that stuff before,
no.
you kind of like it.
I like music.
Yeah,
I don't like sounds in my ears.
Yeah.
No, but there are people that can't hear me. Like the way some people are colorblind. Like I can't tell a green sock from a blue sock. Yeah. There are people that are like that with music that are just like, it all sounds the same to me.
All of it?
Yeah. You're like, come on.
I have never met anyone like that.
I have.
That is a sad story.
Yeah. Well, they're just like, I like everything. It's all the same. Well, I guess they're more open-minded than I am, so what am I complaining? You know, when I came in, they're like, hey, can you do this thing for Instagram?
Right.
And I go, whose Instagram? They go, my Instagram, your Instagram.
Yeah.
I go, I'm not on Instagram. I'm not,
I can barely get you to text me back. The man is like, okay, now I've got 500 texts that I got to get back to. I'll do it when I'm up on the top of a mountain, when I'm taking a walk, when I have no reception. The man's voice is going in and out.
I know. It's like I'm up here hiking in Fryman Canyon at 9 p.m. with the coyotes. But that's when I'm like, I can get some, I can return some texts. And texts work up there. But phone calls are a little bit dodgy.
Tom, did you fall off?
Yeah,
did you call? Do I need to send call 911? Where are you? Send me a drop.
I know. The coyotes are like, this guy's up here every night. What a weirdo.
Shut up.
But
that's the trick.
I think the park is supposed to close at sundown, so I shouldn't have mentioned the name of the place.
Well, the trick of doing something like this too is that there's the putting it together and everything, but actually marketing it, putting it on social media, trying to find where people are and how they can even find out
and how to break through the barrage of stuff.
And so we were like, we considered it. Do we put a post? Hey, save the date on Saturday. Like, no, because no one has a concept of what Saturday means, right? We're online 24/7 when we're there, and we were like, screw it, we're going to just go online. Try to be the funnest thing happening for 24 hours. If you happen to find us, great. And people will just start network effect and sharing it. And I think it's working.
I think it's working.
That's really nice.
That's one way to do it.
We're having the best time ever.
Great. And people are donating, I hope.
We're full.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's tell them how to donate again.
Let's do it. So guys, this is all about actually a fundraiser for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, the LLS. they are running clinical trials for a breakthrough new treatment for kids who have leukemia, that there is a science now where we can take a genetically modified stem cell, which will go in by a pill into the system and eat cancer cells. That is the science, the simple version of the science behind this, eliminating chemotherapy for kids with cancer forever. That's the goal. And we're not talking about science fiction. We're talking about science fact. This is a clinical trial which is ready to go. Global clinical trial with researchers, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies that have all been brought together by the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. 10,000 Heroes is a campaign that we are running with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and Mattel's Play It Forward. They've come on board as our corporate partner, helping us go and try to, they donate toys and products more than they do fundraising, but they're doing things like Brave Barbie, which is a whole great story. And we talked a little earlier about that. That's beautiful. And they're giving us that sort of corporate support as we go out to find other corporate supports. Like MeTV might be interested. Anybody who has a passion for animation, that we can start this movement called 10,000 Heroes. The math behind it was 100 people gave $10,000, we'd make $1 million bucks. We can make $1 million donation into this. That's a pretty good splash in the pond. Yeah. It's got to be 10,000 people that the animation community can reach in fandom, in us professional lives. Many people have donated more than that. Some have donated less. Just give a little bit. It doesn't matter.
Every con.
There is, right? Like how hard can it be?
We probably it wouldn't also be bad to find 1 million people that donate $1 a piece.
That works too. That works too.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You and I actually christened Salami Studios with their first series. Are you aware of this? Our first animation series that they helped record was Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I just took a picture in front of the poster out there.
I love that. I love that. What was one of your favorite narrator moments?
Oh man, well, Powerpuff Girls was such an amazing experience because like my timing. You might have been in the game a little longer than me. Right, like
82.
Yeah. And I didn't get into 92, but I was basically trying since 82, and everybody's like, "Yeah, no thanks. We don't want what you're peddling, Kenny." But it took a long time for me to get my nose under the tent, which is why I treasure it so much.
With Joe, right? Your nose got under the tent with Joe, right?
Joe Murray, exactly.
Right.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Rocco, and then Camp Laszlo.
At the same time, when Cartoon Network was like new, like when it was just forming, and they were doing a lot of stuff out of that old Hanna-Barbera building there in Cahuenga. Somebody saw me doing stand-up at Improv Santa Monica, which is now long gone. The Improv is still there on Melrose, the flagship improv comedy club. But they had one in Melrose or in Santa Monica for a while on 2nd Street. And somebody saw me and said, have you ever thought about doing animated voices? You do a lot of characters and stuff. I was like, yeah, sure. So that's my dream. So I come on down, Cartoon Network, this place, Cartoon Network. It was kind of a good time to get in because all those real creators.
Yes, I kind of touched on that.
The Gendy Tartakovskys, the Craig McCracken.
It was
this is like the Cal Arts people?
Cartoon. It was all Cal Arts. It was all there, and they brought their student films into Hanna-Barbera. And we were able to, and some of the people that actually did the voices for them at school, at Cal Arts, we brought into, and we actually recorded with them. You'll remember.
Yeah,
you were on Dexter's Lab.
Powerpuff Girls was Craig's student film called Whoop-Ass Girls.
Whoop-Ass Girls. And Dexter's Lab was Gendy Tartakovsky's.
That's right.
His one. And then, gosh,
his Family Guy was also, I believe, his.
Well, he came in and he worked with us. I did one of his pilots, and I was actually
at Cartoon Network.
Yes. No, this is a Hanna-Barbera. Seth MacFarlane and I, we were like right down the hall at a certain time. But before that, at Hanna-Barbera, we did a pilot with him where he did 18 voices. And I had to fill out that contract for him. And I was like, I'm doubling, tripling. Quadrupling. Can you think about it? Because this was the beauty of this pilot that Seth wanted to do, right? And then he was on Johnny Bravo. He was working, as a director, all that, as was Butch Hartman.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so, it just, when you think about Hanna-Barbera, and
all those guys were there, and like all that stuff.
I was so lucky to have all of them.
Perfect timing for you, because you saw the legends and the next generation.
Yes.
And I got into it a little late to work with a lot of the legends. I worked with
we
some
were
of
talking about.
But
I didn't. I mean, except for June Foray, but you worked with June Foray.
I worked with June a lot. June was lucky enough to live a really long time ago. So I did get to work with her. But But yeah, all those, to me, they seem like kids,
They were kids.
And I was like 30, but they were just all so creative, and their stuff was so amazing and so different. And at the same time that was happening, Nickelodeon had bought this pilot called For Rocko's Modern Life from this guy, Joe Murray, who is from a totally different background. Like he was a cartoonist, like a print cartoonist, like a news
comic strips.
Comic strips.
Yes, strips. And also political stuff too, like political.
Joe, political?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like
had the
political
pleasure of
cartoons.
working with him after Rocco. He did Camp Lazlo.
Camp Lazlo,
and
Cartoon Network.
and pretty much that I got to work with him at that point and direct that amazing show. And we brought over practically all of the same people that did Rocco's, and I had to beg him to allow me to bring in Jeff Bennett. Like I had to beg, but I did. I'm like, Joe, if he wasn't like, somebody that had done on stage, if he wasn't comedy act, if he wasn't this, Joe didn't want anything to do with him. He knew who he wanted, and that was it.
Well, I think,
Rocky and
luckily
Tom.
for guys like us, a lot of times those guys that create shows, like there's so many fires that they got to put out that a lot of times voiceover-wise, they go, I got to go with the devil I know.
Yes.
The devils I know.
for sure.
I don't blame them.
I
they
don't
were
either.
good
No, we
devils.
benefit from that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like wow, it's like the fact that they don't like change is good. But Joe is like amazing, and who suggested me to Joe, because I had never done voiceover, I was just a stand-up guy, was Carlos Alazraqui. And Joe said, are there any guys that you think might be good for this part of Heifer, the sidekick, the Bullwinkle character, But yeah, if it wasn't for Carlos, I always, him and I were just doing stand-up together. We were stand-ups in San Francisco. He worked at the health club on the street in my neighborhood. So I'd walk by and I'd see him
Carlos.
teaching some housewife how to use the treadmill,
Yeah.
And I
Someday we'll do it with cartoons, buddy. But right now.
Yeah. And he was like, hey, you should come into the gym. And I'm like, nope, bye. You know what I mean?
I'm allergic.
Time for some day drinking. But yeah, what a great time to be around, and just all this creativity happening. And obviously Powerpuff Girls was
Well,
really
it was
something.
It was an interesting time in the history of the industry itself, transforming from television into cable, and then we had Warner's and Turner came together, and all of a sudden the Cartoon Network, had an infusion of wanting. I would say the studios have to want to make things,
Right?
Like that's the key
Right.
in the business. You have to want to make it,
And now
there has to
cable
be-
is ancient history.
And now cable,
right? That's
is ancient history.
It's like, well, I don't know what the
We've walked through that valley, didn't we?
Yeah.
with all of it.
it never stops. I mean,
What's next?
people always ask like at cons and Q&As and stuff like, how is it different from when I go, our job isn't really that
That's
different.
exactly
We're
it.
just
Our
bringing
job,
the characters to
is
life.
the same. Where the
Yeah.
platform
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I'm like, the delivery system
And-
is different.
That's
It's like same drug,
There used to
different
be Saturday
delivery
morning
system.
delivery
cartoons.
system.
Used to be Saturday morning
And
cartoons,
now,
it's-
because there was 24/7 cartoons,
Right.
they didn't have to have it on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So, then you got on demand, and then the streaming. But you brought up something earlier about, I didn't realize. I mean, I'm an idiot. I don't own streaming companies, but when they started taking things away, and the fans are like, "Why isn't this here?
right.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, well, how much does it cost them just to have everything there?"
It's
Yeah, there
kinda
is lots.
arbitrary, right? There is this fallacy. This is the argument that I use to my wife when she tells me I have too many Blu-rays. She's like, you don't need physical.
How many
laser
need?
discs?
Yeah.
Laserdisc.
She's like, you don't need physical media anymore. I'm like, yes, I do.
Yes, I
they'll
do.
take it
She's
away.
like,
Yes,
everything
you
is
do.
streaming now, and I go, no, it is not.
Yeah.
I'm like, any of the esoteric, weird old crap that I care about, most of it is not streaming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or the
I like to
extras
see
on the
his bo-
DVD. They don't have. They won't stream
Right.
that.
Try finding the Abbott and Costello show or Naked City or whatever on streaming. You
Right.
can't. You know what I mean?
True for
so
that.
so yeah, that's my dodge with my.
But I'm going to go back to the narrator. I know that, he was bookends. He was the bookends for every
Yes.
single episode that we
That
did.
was a good gig because
That
you
was-
know that it's well again like Bullwinkle, right? Like the narrator's always going to open up every episode and
Yep,
close every
yep.
episode. You know,
Perfect.
the city of Townsville.
There it is.
And then so once
There it is,
again, the
ladies
day
and
is
gentlemen.
safe. Thanks to
Yes.
and, so. And you know, how long has that been? Probably almost as long as SpongeBob, like 25 years.
Yes.
Maybe.
I think they I think, yes. Yeah. Speaking of which,
Speaking of-
Speaking of, well, can we ask? So we just did this with Bob. Can I
Insight.
ask you
Yeah.
would you mind, in the voice of SpongeBob, would you shout out to Chris Scovira a thank you for donating?
Great.
Chris Scovira? Hi, Chris Scovira. On behalf of everyone in Bikini Bottom, we want to bring it around town and say, thanks for donating.
Okay,
Gary says thank you, too.
Gary. May I have one more?
What do you meant, Bob? I thought you meant Bergen.
No, I
Sponge one. Yeah.
have one more.
Yeah.
Please say thank you to Chrisia Barker.
As SpongeBob?
Yes.
Chrisia Barker, thank you for just being you, you crazy air breather, you.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
So once again, the day is saved thanks to Chrisia Parker.
Oh my God.
Can I share with
think
you
she
my
just
audition
melted.
for SpongeBob?
Yes.
Go to this audition. You know, it's the usual people. Here's the specs. We want very real, nothing cartoony, a real 9-year-old
Isn't
boy.
this evolved?
And I said, look, I can do birth to 6 months and then I jump to about 16.
Yeah.
Everything you want either a real kid.
Do you do the in vitro characters? Yeah. The jelly on the stomach, you know. Yeah.
The ultrasound.
They're very good. So I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. You want either a woman to do a little boy voice or a real little boy, and you don't want a real little boy because every season you're gonna have to recast. Okay?
Yeah.
So
Puberty happens.
all right, that round happens. I hear through the grapevine there's another round of SpongeBob auditions. I went, great. Called my agent. She said, yeah, I pitched you, but they said since they've already heard you, they don't want to hear you again.
Oh wow.
And I said, but I don't. And then I heard you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, this is weird. Like, you know, we've all got a fair amount of stuff on our IMDb's, right? And when I tell, I'm thinking of becoming a voice actor, you know, people say that all the time. I go, good, but keep in mind, if you're an aspiring voice actor, they're like, that seems like it would be a fun job. It is.
It is.
It
Yes.
is. But really, when you're an actor or like any type of show business or acting or whatever, your job really is your job is looking for a job.
Correct.
So you know, auditioning, you know, that's the pound of the pavement. And you know, then when you get the job, that's when the fun part
Right.
starts. You know, but you gotta. Sometimes it can be a little bit debilitating to audition and audition and
were
audition
talking
and
about
audition
that
for stuff,
earlier.
and you never get it right.
Well,
You know,
also, you're going to work harder. I think you're going to work harder in the audition than you will once you get the job.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the
Agreed.
audition, you've got to show. I mean, on a page with about 9 scenes, if you're lucky to get a writer's script where you've got the other characters to work off of, mazel tov, that's great. Or exposition to play off of.
Exposition.
And if you don't have that,
could you
there,
say Mazel Tov is Porky?
That's not kosher.
He got you.
Once he said Mazel Tov, I'm like, I want to hear Porky Pig say, wow.
I love it.
one of the
I'm
things,
done.
one of the things I teach my students is if you get just the scenes,
Yes.
with the adjective,
Right.
annoyed. What are you annoyed at? Are you annoyed at something that happened before this scene? You're coming off of something. Don't just read this in a funny line. It's a character. It's a scene. There are relationships. You got a full script. Work it. Play
Another
it.
$2,000.
Yeah, you got to think about this stuff. You have
Those
to
are
think about the whole Rubik's Cube, you know?
Well,
Yes.
if the information isn't there, make it up. If there's a little bit of information there, embellish it. Take it off the page. The script is a skeleton. You've got to give it a body. Then you get the job. And you've got a room full of you guys.
Yes.
And here's director, and here's producer, and there's network person and writer people, blah, 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 blah. And you're laser focused right here. Because no matter what they're saying back there, you're like, do you want me to do that too?
Yeah.
Or they'll talk, do this, do this, do this,
Absolutely.
do this, do this. And Colette's like, a little
No.
faster.
Yep.
No.
He loves that part.
I always
Nintendo.
felt protected in Collette situations.
Yes, I do.
No matter when there was like, even if there was 20, you see the
Right.
huddle. You see
Oh,
the
yeah.
huddle
Oh,
going
yeah.
on behind her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, okay, too many cooks. I can't deal with the too many cooks. I can't worry about that.
Yeah.
But like Colette's, You know,
Well, she has to
Colette's the master
translate.
chef. Colette's the sous chef that's going to tell me what I
Exactly.
got to make.
She truly
You know,
is.
And she has to translate producer to actor and actor to producer.
And specific actor, because what I might say to you
Everyone's
would not
different.
be the same to Tom. Because
Everyone's
I know each of you so intimately.
Yeah.
You know how
Right.
we've worked so long.
Also, I
together.
don't know if you talked about
you know,
this.
you got to dumb it down for me.
No,
Right,
I don't.
absolutely.
I never. I don't dumb it down. for
Hemingway
anybody.
wrote at a 4th grade level. We know this, right?
She's a visual director. 'Cause
Yeah,
there are times when I'll see this from her.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
you know, she'll conduct you. I mean, it is conducting.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
for
an
sure,
orchestra.
for sure,
And you
yeah.
know, not all directors do that.
Oh,
yeah.
I can't not.
I know.
Can't not. I've tried to
Some of
sit
them
on
are
my
kind
hands.
of tabula rosa, you know, like blank slate, like you're kind of looking for something, you know, and you're like,
Anything.
I'm scanning the
Anything?
horizon.
Yes,
I don't see anything, you know.
I want to spoon feed
It's
you.
just fog, you know.
Right.
Tara put it perfectly earlier. I've never heard it quite this way. She goes, Colette's got the sifter and she's getting rid of all the salt and she just gives me the sugar.
Yeah.
I went,
That's great.
oh, Tara.
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
beautiful.
I am going to
She's
keep
right.
that.
Zero.
Yeah. These 3 people know what they're talking about. I'm just here to
We're
tell
here
you
with Joe
about this.
Sichta.
And
Joe Sichta
this
knows
is-
what he's talking
I know what I'm
about.
talking about,
Guys.
everybody. I'm talking about you guys as the animation community coming together with us. This is the kickoff. This is not the end. This is the beginning of 10,000 heroes becoming 100,000 heroes, becoming 1,000,000 heroes.
Yes, this is
Making a huge impact out of our community into cancer research and to donate towards these clinical trials that are going to change the world for millions and millions of kids.
I mean, obviously, it's no secret that chemo just does a number on you
Annihilation.
when you got. We all know.
Joe's
people that
got
had to go
yeah,
through
and
it.
he's got the numbers of the people who, you know, the chronic long term as they become adults, what that happened when they were
Issues.
children, even though they're in remission and they've gone up, the things that happen are just
It was new. I didn't know. I had no clue that organ failure and death 30 years after having pediatric leukemia treatments was going to be a thing.
and you think after
wasn't people are like, I'm out of the woods.
It was
It's the cure that kills them.
it's the cure that ultimately,
Because
you know
there's no
what, it's
treatment.
never really like for Cherie, she didn't die of leukemia. Her body got worn down. She died from pneumonia. So it's rare that anybody will ever say they died of leukemia. It's always some organ that has, you know, and it's
Some
more than likely
immune
that the
system
chemo, the
deficiency or-
chemotherapy,
Death by a
weakened.
thousand cuts, right?
yes,
by a thousand
death
cuts.
by a
And,
thousand, and those cuts, each one.
Yes.
The thing about babies and littles
I
having,
know.
and
That's
you
what I'm
trying to
saying.
explain
like
to them
some
that
big
it's
strapping person gets laid low by
That-
this stuff, and then when you're a little developing person, although you
Developing.
know, I mean, obviously the kids are super tough as well. I
Yeah.
mean, when you visit
yeah.
these kids, you're just
Well,
like,
their rebound is tough. It's
Yeah.
good. I mean, they're tough on the rebound, but during.
You're
no,
right.
and
Right.
I'll,
but
and
I'm saying
I have
they
a
can
quick.
take a lot.
They
you know,
can,
they're
but
ridiculous.
I'll never forget my mom being in a spinal tap, and for Charisse because I could not be there, and the nurse getting irritated. So we had a relationship with this nurse for years now, off and on. And I remember the nurse telling Charisse, she knew what stop it, what's going on. She was kind of a little crass, anyways, in her own way. And my mother whipped her head around and said to her, "On the day she thinks this is okay, is the day we don't come back.
Wow.
No, fight." Oh, and I was like, and the only reason my mom was there is because I couldn't be there.
Right.
But I heard about this. All the nurses had heard about it. And I was like, my mom.
All right.
For
Grandma.
Mother's Day, for Mother's
Day.
Mama Sunderman threw
Yeah.
down.
No, Mama Bennett.
Mama Bennett.
Bennett.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
My
that's right.
mom. Yeah. No, she,
Right.
Right.
yeah, but that's, you kind of not, you don't want this to be normalized.
Right.
Yeah.
But taking a pill?
Well,
Taking a
if
pill
you can
that's-
take that, what we're talking about,
Yeah.
that debilitating series of gut punches that just goes on and on and on and on. If you can take that off the table and you're talking about, I mean, wow, what a miracle. What
Like
a
taking a
miracle.
vitamin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the child is sick and there are going to be tests that need to be
Sure.
done and there will be needle pokes because you have to draw blood and there's things like that, but nothing.
Throw a rock from this studio. There's Sherman Oaks Hospital right there. There's St. Joseph's Hospital over here. There's Cedars-Sinai over the hill. Like there are right now people facing that got diagnosed today. Somebody out there has leukemia, was diagnosed today. Is facing this treatment, facing the and what are they hearing? The same thing you heard in 1989.
Right.
We're almost there.
1982.
1982.
is when we got diagnosed. She passed away in 1989, and at 1989, We're almost there. And you know what? Thank you for the bone marrow donors. I had hundreds upon hundreds of people, thousands of people, because Magic Mountain paid for all their employees to be tested for bone marrow donors. And
Which, by the way, in
Heartland
itself
and
is not an
farming.
easy test.
No, that one is just a blood test.
Oh, it is?
To be yes, you
Oh,
guys,
okay.
if you want to be part of
I thought it was
you mean the marrow
I thought it was the
extraction?
marrow
yeah,
extraction.
no, you don't have to
Okay.
do that
That's
to
what I thought,
become
too.
a part of the donor on the bone marrow donor
Okay, they have to check the blood
registry.
first.
It is just blood, and now it's free. Where before, when Charisse was alive, it was $75 a person. So all these corporations were paying for all their employees who had heard her story. Wow. Not one of those people have ever been called in for a bone marrow donor.
Yeah.
I'm like, please?
Yeah.
Please? But I haven't heard anything. And at 89, like Joe started to say, that they were telling me, oh, we're so close, we're so close, we're so close.
Almost there.
We're 2024, and we're no closer. And you know what? If we can't finish it, if we can't find the cure, can we just not make it so traumatizing for babies and children and teenagers, whatever age?
Yeah.
You know, let's do this. Let's figure this out. Let's fund this. Let's be behind it so that we can then go out to every demographic.
So, what do you think, Joe and Collette, since you've been dealing with the LLS and all that? What's the best way to get that? 30 some odd year. We're almost there.
Yeah.
How do you
Right.
get that new thing
How do you get there?
fast tracked? Right? Because
Right.
well, we got to
Right.
go to war with the army
money.
we have. Well, let's
We're
get a
doing-
new
it's
army.
money. It's money.
Let's get a new army.
And a lot of the people in the public, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in here. As I would, if you didn't know, that the hospitals don't fund this. This is not funded by the hospitals. The people that are working on these particular discoveries are the ones that have to go out and write for grants and ask for money. So, right? And Joe knows much more about the particulars and logistics of that, but it's
Yeah,
just
the-
mind-blowing. It's not funded.
The first thing that,
By
that,
who we
that,
think it would.
we sort of talked about with the LLS. Well, first of all, they're a wonderful organization run
Yeah.
by, and talk about a group that, so much of the money goes toward the clinical research, so little goes the administration. A lot of places oh yeah, donate it.
Charity score,
Yeah.
charity
Right.
rating score.
Yeah,
whatever
it's
it is.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They are so lean and so thoughtful in how they've organized, and
Not a whole bunch of the money is flowing.
So
is
little.
getting sucked off to infrastructure.
Right, yeah, I think it's like as low as
Yeah.
I think it's like 6 or 8%. It's like such a small
That's
amount.
nothing.
Right? To run an organization that gets together the hospitals, the researchers, the scientists, the pharmaceutical companies, and whatever corporate investments that they can kind of get, and individual philanthropy, large fund donors, and then grassroots funding, which is what this is, right? And all to put this together to be able to move things forward that the market is unwilling to solve. If there was money
Unbelievable.
to be made solving cancer, do you think we'd still be giving kids chemotherapy?
Yeah,
The market can't solve
No.
it.
profit drives
Yes,
everything.
everything.
Market drives, that's
So they say we have to fund
Make
it.
the world go
I
round.
didn't know any of this. A lot of
I
it is
know,
also
I
education.
totally
yes,
agree.
absolute deep diving.
That's what
taking
blew
a
my
moment.
mind.
That's what we're doing. That's what you guys are doing. That's what you are doing. You are bringing these people who are coming as fans for you, and we're educating them and asking them, please.
Well, I gotta say, this was a new concept to me, and
oh, yeah,
until
there we go.
I had to go online and look up what this
is it?
is and what it's.
I had to go online and
That's
make it
you.
up 2 weeks
Exactly.
ago.
What is this? What are we talking about here?
It's amazing, right?
All right, I have to.
Bob,
write
thank you.
guys.
You are
Oh, my
tonight is such a
gosh, are
joy,
you
man.
kidding
Thank you.
Having
Yeah,
me.
it was our
If
pleasure.
there's any more people that
Yep.
want
What,
their
the
names
Porky-
Yes,
said,
there's got to be.
Oh, look at Bob.
Let's see. I know one. Would you do one for my Shelly Martinez? Can you give us the Shelly Martinez?
One of my dearest, closest friends.
Really?
Yes. Oh
Oh.
my God.
It's Shelly Martinez? It's Shelly Martinez? It's Porky. Well, I'm not getting along with Petunia these days, and I was just wondering. Maybe you and Collette and maybe maybe we can a double date.
Oh my God.
I have to just say,
I only know her if she's a sea Shelly.
Shelly
I don't think I know her.
Martinez.
Yes.
Had the honor and the pleasure and the fun to know Charisse.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Wow.
That's
No, we
great.
pulled a name out of the hat.
I know you did.
But it was Shelly.
Yes.
Was that just a coincidence?
that
You-
was
no.
absolutely.
And
I
it's
took
all
that.
meant to
I
be.
just
I
pulled
know
it
there's
out.
no
Found that at random.
coincidence.
That's great. What a beautiful thing.
Coincidence.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
nice. Life is beautiful.
Life is.